Underwood, and I am the author of the new picture book, Outside In.
And I am Cindy Derby, and I am the illustrator of the book Outside In. Hi, Deborah.
I'm so happy to see you. And I'm
very good to see you.
Yay! I'm happy that we get to be here to share our book with everybody today.
I know.
It's exciting. So today what we plan to do was we're going to each tell you a little bit about ourselves, and then we're going to read a little bit of the book and tell you a bit about how the book came into being. And then we're going to show you a couple ways, a writing way and a drawing or painting way, that you can help bring the outside in, because I know a lot of us are inside more than we would like to be right now. Is that right, Cindy? Are you?
Yeah.
We're inside. So anyway, we're going to start off. I would love to show you a photograph. And I bet that some of you can guess that this is me when I was a kid. And you can also see that I was reading, because I loved reading when I was a little kid. I read all the time. I read at breakfast. I read under the covers at night. I read at recess at school. I read at lunch. So it makes sense that I turned out to be a writer. And I thought you might like to see the very first book that I ever wrote. Here it is. It is called Spotty and Dotty. And as you can see, it says by Deborah Underwood, illustrated by the author. So I bet a lot of you know that the illustrator is a person like Cindy who does pictures for a book. And the author is somebody like me who writes words for a book. Except for this book, I did the pictures and I wrote the words. So here is the very first page of the book. As you can see, it's about a dog named Spotty. And then I want to show you the last page. I was really excited about this because since the book was about a dog, the last page I had a dog puppet and instructions for the readers to make their own dog puppets. So since you've seen a dog, I also want to introduce you to somebody who helps me with my writing, and that is my kitty, Bella. Bella, I think, is about 13 years old. I adopted her from a shelter in San Francisco when she was, we think she was 3, but it was about 10 years ago. And she's turned out to be a great cat for a writer because she helps me with my writing. And she helps me with my filing. And when kids write letters to me, she helps me answer them. But the coolest thing is, she actually likes to read. Except it has to be exactly the right kind of book. So that's a little about me. So now I would love to hear what Cindy has to tell you about herself.
Oh, and as you can see on the front, maybe that is Bella. So, hi everybody. I'm Cindy Derby, and I am an author and an illustrator of children's books. So that means that I write and I draw the pictures. And I wasn't always a writer and an illustrator. Before, I was a performer and a puppeteer. And so these are some pictures of my past productions. I was also, because I was a painter, I really wanted to also merge my theater, my 2 favorite things, theater and painting, into one medium. And so that's why I became a picture book writer and illustrator, because I think of a picture book as a stage for all of these characters in my head to come to life. And this was me when I was 7 years old with my pet iguana, Spike. And I used to walk around the house with Spike on my shoulder everywhere I went. And growing up, reading and writing was actually a big challenge for me. And they wanted to hold me back a grade because I was far behind. And one day my teacher gave me a journal, and she told me, Cindy, write in this journal, just write. And from then on, I started writing every day, just writing my feelings, my thoughts. I drew in it. It was my own place to just be myself. And to this day, I still carry around a journal with me at all times. And it helps me. And it helps me during this time as well, being inside with my thoughts and all of these feelings I have. And so I keep a sketchbook or a journal. And so maybe, if you had that as well, that's a nice place to be yourself. And so I carry like a sketchbook, and I just do, and I make sure that the pictures, they don't have to be good, or they're just for me. And so I just have a bunch of just doodles and feelings and things written out. And so, yeah. I was also, what do you think, Deborah? Should we dive into the book?
Yes, but I just want to say that is so amazing that teacher gave you that journal.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
She helped me believe in myself. Because for so long I didn't, because I was so far behind. And this was just a place for me to fall in love with writing and my own words, and to sit with them in a way that I don't know, that felt good. So
that is so, what a gift that she gave you, and then she enabled you to help give your gift to everyone else. That's just
so I dedicated my very first book to her. So I
was going to ask if you're still in touch with her. Are you still?
I am. We got back in touch about 4 years ago, and and I invited her to my first book launch for How to Walk an Ant, and she brought her kids with her and her husband. And at the end, I said, "And this book is dedicated to Miss Moretti."
That is so great! Oh, I bet that meant the world to her.
Yeah. So let's dive into Outside In.
All right. Okay. Outside In by Deborah Underwood, illustrated by Cindy Derby. Once we were part of outside, and outside was part of us. There was nothing between us.
Now, sometimes, even when we're outside,
we're inside.
We forget outside is there.
So outside reminds us.
With flashes at the window and slow magic tricks.
Should we stop there?
I know, you guys want to read the rest.
So Cindy, maybe we can talk a little bit about where the idea for Outside In came from and how you did the illustrations. So
yeah.
Kids often will ask me, and I'm sure they ask you too, where you get your ideas. That's like the biggest question I always get asked. And the truth is, you can get ideas anywhere. If I ask a room full of kids where they think you can get ideas, they all have great ideas about where to get ideas. So you can get ideas, like I get ideas often, like when I go out on my walks, an idea will just kind of pop into my head. Sometimes I get ideas when I'm doodling, but for this, I actually got the idea for the book from a real life moment that I had. And that was one day I was at a really busy convention in downtown San Francisco, and I just needed a break. So I found this big old brick building, and I went and I sat inside it just to get a little bit of quiet. And as I was sitting there, I heard this bird flying overhead and calling. I think it was a seagull. And just as I was sitting there in this big building that people had built over 100 years ago, made out of bricks and glass, it really struck me that even though I was inside, this bird's call could kind of reach out and get to me, even though I was surrounded by all this human-made stuff. And the idea that nature can come in and reach us, even when we're inside, was just really powerful for me. And so I thought maybe it would be a good poem. So I went home and I thought about it for quite a long time. And then I started writing a poem about it. And then I thought maybe these could actually be a picture book. And so I did what I always do with my books, is I worked on it. I wrote it over and over again, tried to make it as good as I could. And then I have some great writing friends who helped me with my writing. So I took it to them and they made some great suggestions and I made changes. And then finally, when I thought it was as good as I could get it, I tried to sell it, because in order for a book to come out, you need to sell it to a publishing company, which is a company that makes books. So I was very lucky that a publishing company bought it. This great editor, who's somebody who works there, liked the story and said, yes, I want to make this into a book. And that is where Cindy comes into the equation.
That's right. And then, woo, illustrations were just magically done. In reality, that it was a long process, and the publishing company had sent me and my literary agent, who is somebody who deals with the business side of the book business for me. They sent me Deborah's manuscript, and first time reading it, I fell in love. And I knew that I loved it because as soon as I was reading it, all of these images came to mind, and all of these memories came up of when I was a little girl playing outside in the backyard behind my house. And so once I signed on to do the project, that's when the exploration began. And I started, actually, like I was talking about my notebook that I keep with me everywhere. I first started doodling and just drawing out whatever images came to mind. And as you can see in these pictures, these are some of the rough drawings and very initial inspirations that I had. I also did a lot of research, and because my background is in theater, I looked at a lot of theater design and lighting. And there was this one show that I saw when I lived in Scotland, and it was called Interiors. And I loved the lighting and the way that they designed that show. And in one of the spreads in Outside In, let's see, that's Outside Sings to Us with chirps and rustles and tap taps on the roof. You can see where I grabbed the inspiration from this theatrical design. And after I did a lot of research, I put that all away and I relied on my passion and my memories to help unleash this part of me, this wildness inside of me that I think I had neglected for a long time. And to make once the sketches and everything were approved, and I worked them over and over and over again until I got them to a good place, I did the final illustrations, and I used a variety of tools. I used sticks dipped in ink to create some of the textures in the book. I also used string, and I would dip the string in ink, and then I would pull it out under a heavy book, and it would create these really organic, beautiful designs that was a starting place for me to create the trees in this book. And I also used, I would make my own paintbrushes. So I would pluck old hairs of older brushes, and then I would tape it at the bottom. And then I would dip this in ink, and I used this as well. And this helped keep things, this helped me keep things not perfect. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to tap into this place of imperfect and beauty. And so, and I also used, this is another tool that I used. I think it might have been a bamboo stick. And then I shaved the end, and then it created this perfect little point. So I used this as well. And so, those are some of the tools that I created to make some of the art in this book.
Oh, and the art is so beautiful. I have to say, the first time I saw the sketches, the first time I saw the finished art, it was just like my heart stopped. So all of your imperfect things turned into a perfect, perfect.
That is something too. I had told you about before, Deborah, is that I had to get out of my own way when making the art in this book, which means that I had to just let go of my expectations of what I wanted the art to be and just be completely in the moment and present with my paper. And that helped me. I guess that helps this art reach other places that I didn't expect. So
that's so interesting, because I know, like, when I was a kid, when I was trying to make art or when I was trying to do writing or whatever, I always just thought it had to be perfect. I thought it had to be perfect the first time. And I think that a lot of kids think that. And I think that a lot of people just stop writing or stop making art because they think that they need to be perfect, when in fact, you don't. And in the final, if you look at a finished book, there's so much work behind the scenes in so many different directions, and all of that exploration is just so important. You don't get to the finished book without it. So if I could go back and tell my 6-year-old self one thing, I think it would just be, don't try to be perfect. You can't, just let things flow, and don't try to be a little perfect person.
And that's also the cover of the book, which I'll show in these pictures here. As you can see, the evolution of the door in the book. It took me, I would say, 30 different paintings to find just the right door. But I don't think of every painting I did as a waste, because each time I painted it, I learned something new. And then I would take what I learned into the next painting. And then I go, oh, that's interesting. I should add more birds in the next one. Okay, let's try this again. And instead of going, oh, it's... I can't do this. Although there were moments like that. Let's be honest here. There were moments where I was like, but I kept going. I kept painting. And then I finally hit upon a door that the art director and the editor and myself really liked. And it's because the word "in" fit inside.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was a perfect puzzle piece that I wouldn't have discovered. We wouldn't have discovered if it wasn't for me doing so many different versions of it.
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. I just think that's true in everything. So Cindy, should we tell kids a little bit about how they might help bring the outside in if they're stuck inside?
Yes.
So I know, like, I live in San Francisco now, and we're supposed to basically stay home unless we need to go out. And that's been really hard for me, because in my day-to-day life, I do a lot of walking, and I live really close to Golden Gate Park. And I'm especially sad because there's a place in the park called the Botanical Garden that I love. It's my favorite place in the world, and it's all locked up now. So I can kind of go by and look through the gates. I kind of feel like I'm looking through the chocolate factory, Willy Wonka, like there's my garden in there. I can't get to it. So it makes me sad, and I wish that I could be connected to it. And I was just thinking, when you miss a person who's not with you, sometimes you write a letter to them. So that way you can stay connected with them and you can think about them. And I thought, well, maybe you could write a letter to a place too. So I would like to suggest to you, if you are not able to go someplace that you love and that is really special to you, you could write a letter to that place. Now you could do that any way that you want to. But if you need a little help getting started, I made this little pattern that you could follow if you want. And so it starts off, it says, "Dear blank," and then you'd put in the name of the place. "When I am there, I love seeing," and then you could say what you love seeing. "I love hearing," and you could talk about what you love hearing when you're there. "I love smelling," and you could talk about the things that you smell when you're in that place. "When I am there, I feel," and then you could say the things that you feel when you go to your special place, and then just say, "I can't wait to see you again, your friend," and then sign your name. So I did this with a botanical garden, so I want to show you some pictures of the things that are there that I miss, and then I'm going to read you the letter. So my letter would go like this. "Dear Botanical Garden, when I am there, I love seeing the swooping hawks and shimmering hummingbirds. I love hearing the quiet and the birds chirping. I love smelling the freshly cut grass and the beautiful flowers. When I am there, I feel happy and calm. I can't wait to see you again. Your friend, Deborah." So now Cindy is going to show you. Oh, thank you. I miss my garden. I miss it. It's funny. I didn't realize that you could miss a place as much as you can miss a person. But
Yeah.
I think I mostly miss the animals in there because like there's this hawk that I've been following for weeks and weeks. And I'm like, I hope my hawk is still there when I get to go back. So anyway, but how do you think kids should connect with the outside?
So I have an art activity so we're going to paint a snail together, because as you can see, there is a snail that inches their way throughout this whole book. And so I thought we would make a snail together. So come on, come with me. Let's make a snail together. Everybody, meet Roxy. Roxy and I met in the backyard, and Roxy's going to help us with our painting today. Okay, so I'll put Roxy. This is Albert's apartment. Albert is an aunt, but he's currently gone, so Roxy is renting. So I'm going to place Roxy right there. As you can see, Albert has some paintings that he's done. And this is his gallery wall. He's painted things like donuts and self-portraits, a lot of self-portraits. I like to do a very light tracing of the shape that I'm going to make. So for a snail, we have its shell and then its body. So let's start with the shell. Sometimes I make sound effects to help. So as you can see, kind of made like a cinnamon swirl. So let's first start by painting the shell. We could use any colors we want. Maybe you have some acrylic paints. I'm going to use watercolor because I love watercolor. For watercolor, I have my big tub of paint here, as you can see. And I have my tray of paint that's just been left over. So I'm going to use some of the leftover paints that was from a previous project. Because once I add more water to it, it actually reactivates the watercolor. So I'm just going to, maybe we can, I kind of like this yellow here. do a yellow shell. Okay. Just gonna paint the entire circle like this. And I'll add some darker colors down here. Ooh, that's like a blue. This might make like probably a green. It's okay. Okay. And I do have some inks. And I'm just gonna add a little ink here, just see what that's like. It's nice too. Maybe a little bit more ink. Becoming a green shell. Aha. And add a little bit of blue down here. There we go. So because I'm using watercolor, I'm gonna sit, be patient as this dries. It's watercolor, it's important not to overwork it. Gotta just let it do its thing. Okay, should probably leave it alone. Let's check up on Roxy. Hey, Roxy. Did you visit the gym yet? Oh, looks like you're in the bedroom. Maybe you're taking a nap? So we're gonna wait for this to dry. And now, once this is dry, I can go over the shell. So I'd like to kind of accentuate the swirls in the snail shell here. So I'm gonna go ahead and use some coloring pencils. You could also use crayons as well. So maybe I could use, that would be a nice color, or yellow. Let's try them all out. What do you think? Orange? No? Yes? Okay. How about turquoise? Oh, we already have turquoise. Okay. How about a dark blue? Yep. Okay. And I'm gonna grab this pink as well. So now I'm gonna go ahead and go over, let's use the turquoise and see how that is. I'm gonna go ahead and accentuate this swirl here. Maybe inside could be yellow. Aha. Maybe there could be some pink dots. And maybe we could use, one of these colors. Whoop. How about some pink? This is really, really bright. So maybe, so now we're gonna do the snail's body. I was thinking it would be fun to have a pink, have it be pink here. Here we go. Ooh, crazy colors. I like it. So now the tail, which goes right underneath. And just do a little round kind of like a petal, like a flower petal. Rinse that off. Make sure you always wash off your brushes with water. So if they get dry with the paint on it, it's hard to use the brush again. And now we're gonna do my favorite part. Let's make the eyes here. So, whoosh. This looks blue. Whoosh. Now, two little tiny circles and a dot for the pupils. There we go. And maybe a little tiny mouth. Roxy, how you doing? Good? All right. Also, what I like to do, because this is a snail, I'm just going to use I'm gonna make a little trail behind the snail, just like that. Maybe I'll add some more fun things. Pick some dots around the shell like this. The shell can be any color you want. If it makes you go, ooh, then that's a good sign. That's what I love about painting. It's because there's always so many surprises. What else? Maybe some more dots here. Dot, 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 dot. And pink dots. Just little tiny dots like they're sprinkles. And getting bigger and bigger. See? That's fun. Okay. And sign my name. Cindy. If you'd like, you could put your snail creation on the window like this, but maybe facing this way. So creatures and people can see. Here's my little letter. I made it out to my friend Snail. Here we go. Everybody say bye, Roxy. This way. This way. There you go. We had a fun time painting with you. There we go. Boop. Bye.
Thank you all so much for spending a little of your indoor time with Cindy and me today. It's been really great to get to share a little bit about outside in with you, and it's been wonderful to see you again, Cindy.
Yeah, it's been really nice to see you. And we really can't wait to see your letters and your creations. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.